obviously got harvest underway, so therefore you look at fire, or do you not burn?
Well, stubble fires specifically, Rob, what I'm really meaning is that what's happening is a lot of do-gooders. The rural population has changed. There's been a lot of people from the city come out and live in the country, and first puff of smoke and they ring the fire brigade. And so what's happening is that the fire brigade's out there chasing smoke. In other words, they know, and the locals know, that it's a stubble fire. And stubble fires generally last between about 10 minutes and quarter of an hour, and it's all over.
Yes.
And they have a pattern, a bit like a mushroom from a nuclear bomb sort of thing, goes off quickly and that type of thing.
And it's a different colour.
And it's a different colour, and so it's crazy. What's happened is the restrictions are back on now. Now people will read that in the media, and they'll think, right, first puff of smoke, oh, restrictions are on, ring the fire brigade. Wrong. Stubble burning in the Selwyn district is still allowed under the controlled situation.
Yep, and permitted.
Well, no, not necessarily. Don't need to be permitted. A 10-metre wide fire break with no organic matter in that fire break. So we're probably talking about ploughing rather than grubbing, and certainly mowing and tedding to get a decent clear piece of land, and in attendance with water available, or firefighting facilities available to yourself. And most farmers have sprayers that are set up to, or motorbikes and all sorts of things set up to look after it. So that's allowable, as well as burning in drums on the farm, so, or on the household in drums. So these things are still, even though the restrictions are on, they're still available. But what's going to happen? The media will say restrictions are back on. People will say, right, first puff of smoke, pick up the phone. The question is, verify that it is a fire out of control first, or the volunteer fire brigades are just going to be out all the time, chasing smoke.
Chasing smoke, literally.
Crazy.
Now, karate insecticide.
Yes, Rob, there's been, I've done some trials on control of insects, mainly aphid, in winter cereals, and they're a bad vector of barley yellow dwarf virus in wheat. And so the question farmers have always had is which is the longest lasting, which is the best, which should I choose, because there's so many on the market. So for winter wheat, when it's applied in the winter period to control those autumn flights that come in, karate has come out on top, a synthetic pyrethroid, 25 days protection. Some of the new, it's probably a bit hard on some of the other beneficials. It's quite broad spectrum.
Yep.
Where some of the newer
look after your bees.
Yeah, well, bees, ladybirds, lacewing, all those types of things. So certainly some of the other newer ones are a little kinder, but they mightn't last as long as we would like to think they do. But put karate into a summer situation, it doesn't last as long. So it's not always the same, but certainly in that winter wheat, controlling aphid for barley yellow dwarf virus, it's doing the job. 25 days is not bad.
No, exactly.
Yep.
And I guess it's the time of the year when we start thinking about rats and mice, literally.
Yes, literally. They also vacate the fields at this time of year once the crop's been taken off, and certainly you'd hope you'd get one or two of them in a stubble fire.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, but they start to feel the dew and the cold, and they start moving indoors to into houses, into barns, into sheds, silos everywhere, hay sheds, that type of thing. And a lot of people waste a lot of rat bait feeding rats and mice, and what you should do is actually pulse it. So one feed will actually kill a rat or a mouse, but it takes about 2 to 3 weeks, and they still will continue to eat for 2 to 3 weeks. When people say, oh, the rat bait's gone, so renew, wasted, you're not going to kill any other population. So the answer is pulse feeding, is you put some out, monitor it, it will go. So as long as everybody in that population, the rats and mice, have had a go at it, they are history. Just give it time. Perhaps rebait again in a month's time, and there could be a new population in. And so that's the way to handle them, and it works well.
Speaking of nasty little critters, slugs.
Slugs, they are tough, and people will say, okay, drought, stubble fires, things like that, no problem. but they live down the cracks in the soil, or you've fostered them through your wonderful irrigation. You've kept them going.
Yeah, they love irrigation.
They love irrigation, and under clover crops and things like that. So you think the season's in your favour, but you've done something to favour the pest, and so just be aware of those irrigated pastures, or especially things like white clover. The next crop, there'll be plenty there. So,
That's right.
Yep.
And that leads us on to grass scrubs.
Grass scrubs, there's been plenty of beetle flying. People have seen that, and we've talked about irrigation making the ground soft, particularly crops that were planted in the spring. The soil is loose rather than an autumn one, and so the beetles can lay their eggs, they can dig holes in that loose soil, and they will survive away from the sun. So expect the grass scrub to really rip in over the next 3 months.
Do you heavy roll it, or what do you do?
Well, it's really a cultivation or insecticide issue, really. Heavy rolling won't really do. Mob stocking of cattle will do a job, but it has to be mob stocked of a big cattle. But of course, while they're doing the job on the grass scrub, they're pugging your soil.
So it's a no one, isn't it?
No way.
So
Yeah.
now the other thing is, I guess people should be looking at their rotations.
Yes, farmers are getting a little concerned at the moment about, what am I going to grow? And I would say to them, grow some cereals, but as least of them as you can, because it's not looking that good that the silos are full. But it will filter away. But look at other options. Look at your rotation very carefully, because no matter what the price, a half crop grown in the wrong field is a very, very expensive exercise. So you may grow a crop that's at a lower income, but if you have a good one, it will always pay its way.
And it is a time of adjustment for you cropping farmers.
Yes, huge time of adjustment, same as with the dairy farmers really, and there is a few positives out there. World needs food, interest rates are low, New Zealand dollar's reasonably favourable, and of course fuel's lower in price, and inflation's low, so there are some positives.
There are indeed. Thank you very much indeed.